Hey folks, hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in to another guide. Today we're going to be talking about Koumei. We're going to be doing the basic acquisition, modding guide, showing you a couple builds, and then ending off with some gameplay and some yapping. Yapping is necessary for this frame. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on her, including myself. Some people think she's the best frame in the game. Some people think she's the worst frame in the game. And like many things in life, the answer is somewhere in between. So I will be throwing my hat in the ring on that discussion, but we're going to be saving that for later, because for now we're on Earth, we're on Cetus, and we're going to be hopping over here so I can show you how to get the gambling frame. So as long as you have Once Awake and Sigh's Vigil, those are the quests you need to have done, you can access this shrine and you get these options here. So you have Sigh's Visions, which is the standard version of Shrine Defense, and Sigh's Visions, the Steel Path version of Shrine Defense. In general advice, do not engage with the Steel Path version. And likely, if you're interacting with this, you might be a new player. So that's really good. So you're going to just load into the Shrine Defense, basic defense vision, or defense mission, 2 points, do the objective, fight the final boss. The final boss has damage attenuation in the Steel Path version, which even though you get more Fate Pearls, which are the currency we're going to talk about in a second, the damage attenuation makes the boss a timer, which is incredibly frustrating. Takes too long. You're guaranteed 14 to 18 pearls with the base version, and then 20 to 24 pearls per mission in the Steel Path. You could plug it into a ChatGPT or a whatever. The time, it's not warranted to touch the Steel Path version at all. So looking at the store here, we've got 3 things we can get. Koumei, Higasa, and Aminata. These are her signature weapons. This is Koumei herself and some mods for the respected weapons. If you are a new player, I think you should try to get Higasa and Aminata. These mods here, like, you don't get that much base damage out of any arcane even, really. So I really strongly suggest that you try to get your hands on these weapons. And you probably just will naturally. So when you're playing Shrine Defense, you've got a 4% chance at the end of the mission to get one of these, any of these, barrel, blueprint, whatever. You've got a chance to get them. And I think the way you should farm these is spam Shrine Defense. Hope you get a little bit lucky. Fill this out like a bingo sheet, kind of. Just see if you can get a few of these. It's 4% chance. It's not great. But shoot for it, and then when you have the Fate Pearls necessary, build everything you have to, and go from there. If you are not a new player, quite frankly, the Higasa especially is just kind of mastery fodder, but it's free mastery points, so you should definitely just try to get your hands on it. That I think is quite good regardless. Not one of the better melees, but definitely good. Higasa is not worth building past a certain mastery rank, in my opinion, even though having a Gunbrella is sick. But if you're a new player, please, oh my god, grab it. It's so cool. So we're going to move on to the abilities and then talk about the modding options you have. Alright, so we are here in the Sanctum Simulacrum, and I'm going to be showing you some abilities, some builds of mine, a little modding guide, some tips and tricks, loadout stuff, all that good stuff. So essentially, starting with her passive, we've got in the bottom right hand, there's that little symbol right there of a Breton, of a rifle. There's one with a pistol, one with a sword, and these basically represent your primary, your secondary, and your melee. Whatever ability or whatever weapon is there will get a free on-hit status. So this rifle, this Latron here, is modded for only heat. I shoot. This guy's getting blast procs, mag procs, radiation procs, so on and so forth. So that's pretty good. I've got a negative status duration ribbon on this Latron, which is irrelevant, but basically you're getting free on-hit element or on-hit status effects. This is, in my opinion, one of the best passives in the game. It's just a free secondary encumber. Its only limitation is that it is not, you have to rotate through your arsenal to get it, which for some players is an issue, especially when it comes to melee, because not everyone likes the melee playstyle. I can swap between 2 strong guns, but for some frames you don't really want to have to bust out your melee weapon, so that is a huge restriction to it. But I think this passive is beyond good. I really like it, which is why it sucks that her one really kind of blows. Koumei it basically spawns these wires here that will inflict elemental status effects onto targets that walk into it or have it on them when you cast, like so. Here I've rolled triple sixes on my dice here, which means that they are suffering from every single elemental status effect at once. This is just pure RNG, and it's the only reason that this ability is even remotely good. So yeah, you can spam cast it all you'd like until you get the triple sixes, which will happen quite often if you are spam casting. Let that be noted. So if you want to keep this ability on, I'm not gonna, beat on you for it, but I do think it's weak. I do think you should helmet it off in basically every case. It serves very little purpose as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, get rid of it. It's fun. The damage scales with the dice you roll and your power strength, but ultimately it can kill in late levels. I've seen it. I watched a guide. I'll link it in the description if you really want to play the caster version of Koumei. It particularly doesn't interest me. You will give yourself carpal tunnel, or you have to like bind your one to your first ability to down scroll wheel. That's not the Warframe I'm particularly interested in playing, but to each their own. Again, I will be linking that in the description because I thought the video was actually really good, but it's just not my playstyle. So yeah, you're going to be spamming this, and it's really your only spammable ability, which is important if you're shield gating, but we'll discuss that later. That's not important right now. So I've already summoned myself what's it called, a minigame here for Omikuji. This is her decree ability. This is kind of her defining gambling ability. I can't stop winning, I can't stop losing, so on and so forth. Addiction is just dedication, right? Everyone knows that. So I've got in the upper left hand the kill 14 enemies during a wall latch. So we're just gonna do that real quick. Latch to the wall. This might take me a quick second, but I'll try to lock in for you guys. Shooting relatively straight here. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Alright. After rolling, increase critical damage multiplier by 40% for 4 seconds. So, pretty, solid decree. We will probably go over the decrees in the commentary section a bit, because they range from frustratingly useless to why the build exists in the way that it does. But just know that this is kind of her defining ability, and this is what you're going to be playing for if you use one of my builds. One of my favorite build. I'll go into detail later, but that's the ability. Pretty basic stuff. The decrees, again, they vary in strength, but with my builds, you'll be able to gamble all the live long day. So don't worry about that too much. And if you roll a triple six with this ability, you do not have to play the minigame. You just get a decree. This ability goes on an escalating cooldown every time you use it. You can hold down the button to decline. So, I got triple six when I was trying to do a sample for something. That's cool. Basically, you can hold the button down, the 2 button down, to decline the minigame, and it will set it on its cooldown. It will escalate even if you decline it, which I find very frustrating, but I hope they change that. Anywho, so free decree, that was nice. Okay, Omimori. This is Koumei's 3. It spawns these little charms around me, which I already had, but I was doing some testing stuff. Not relevant. The amount of charms you get scales with your dice roll and nothing else, which you'll notice is a very frequent thing with Koumei. She doesn't have a lot of scalings that are super relevant, which is good if you're a new player. I'm going to emphasize that quite often, and I'll even do a little bit of testing for new players. Koumei is a good new player frame, and so I will be putting some more emphasis, and I even have a beginner build set up, which I didn't do for my temple video, but I'm probably going to do it for every video guide, at least moving forward, because I think it's really helpful. It takes a little bit extra effort, but it's totally worth it, because I like to put myself in the new player's shoes and try to understand. Anywho, Omimori basically is a shitty Mesmer skin. It makes it so you have a 50% chance on any damage instance to heal the damage that was dealt to you, as opposed to taking the damage at all. This has a 3-second internal cooldown, or ICD, which essentially means it can only happen every 3 seconds. The ICD will pop up in the upper right hand of your screen, and it'll be 3 seconds, and it'll be pretty easy. This ability is so good. This is also Koumei's helmet ability, means you can put it on other frames, and quite frankly, they will use it better than she does, which is a little depressing, but that's okay. She uses it just fine, and it means she can be like a really respectable health tank, and I have setups for that I will show you. So overall, this ability is good in my opinion. It's just better used on other frames. And it's just not great survivability. You're gonna have to really work to get her alive at or to keep her alive rather, at higher levels. But this ability does contribute to it. It's helpful. So yeah, not the best survivability tool, by far not the worst. So Ultimate, this is like my favorite ability of hers. Besides the degrees, I guess I should say. Less gambling involved in this one. Basically, you're 4, cast it here. You ragdoll enemies, and based on your dice roll, you inflict a random set of statuses onto them, based on, again, your dice roll. This CC is insane. The base numbers on it you don't have to mod for at all. The range on it is insane, and they just stay like this. And they're reasonably easy enough to headshot, in my opinion. That's up to you really, but some abilities that CC like this make it kind of hard to headshot the targets. This one, not the case. Perfect, or not perfect roll. 666 roll will cast it all around you, as opposed to just in front of you. This ability can kill, and when paired with Koumei can do a lot. But Bunraku, generally, it's really for the priming and the CC, but it does it well. This ability is competent, and I like it. And I like having enemies CC'd. It's additional survivability. You're proccing corrosive. You're proccing magnetic. It's insane. I think it's a very good ability. So let's get into some modding, some weird niche stuff, some builds, so on and so forth. Hopefully that was a good demonstration of her abilities. So we're gonna start here I'm gonna go over real quick because I know some people won't want the actual builds. This is my beginner build, and I'm gonna make some notes here. Koumei really doesn't need mods in the same way a lot of frames do. A lot of modern frames released need a bunch of power strength for certain strength thresholds, or need duration to feel comfortable, efficiency to feel comfortable, range to feel useful. Koumei is not like that, which is interesting. It makes her an incredibly strong early game presence, when you get her early on, but later on it hampers her ceiling. Her floor is quite high. She can do a lot with a little, but when she needs to do more than what she's asked with her base kit, it can be a little tough, which is why when we get to my loadout, I'm going to be yapping a lot about using strong weapons and so on and so forth, because her kit does not offer all that you would want it to. So when talking about survivability, we have basic vitality, steel fiber. Her base values are quite good for health and armor, so that's going to be all it takes. Duration, it's just continuity. Efficiency is kept at base, but you can put streamline here if that's comfortable for you. I have invested in range instead, but auger reach here can be replaced by streamline, no problem. As you can see, pretty basic stat line here. You'll notice that, and if you're new, you might not understand, but 43 meters base range, or with one range mod rather, I should say, that's really good. That's really, really good. So yeah, this is just a basic build. Stretch here, intensify. If you don't have this augment, you can replace it with other mod shields if you want. But God, if you got, I know you can't trade your 50 starter plat, I don't think, but if you can somehow farm up the 10 plat to buy this from a player, dude, hit me up. There's my username. Hit me up. I'll buy you. I'll buy you the augment. It's really, and these arcanes aren't relevant, by the way. These are just there from another build. This augment's super important, and I'm going to be displaying it in a second here. But yeah, this is the starter build. You likely won't have the Xless slot up here, but that's up there for a reason that I will explain in a minute. So, okay. First build. This is the build that everyone kind of knows. Max range sickening pulse with Archon mods. This is some basic stuff. Precision intensify here can be exchanged, but I wouldn't recommend it for Archon intensify. But precision intensify, your damage is coming from Bunraku, and the statuses on Bunraku are used with sickening pulse to max out the stacks on the statuses affected by it. You use a more to stay alive, your max range. A little bit of duration. This build is a spam casting build. I don't care for it. Combat Discipline is here for Arcane Avenger. Arcane Blessing is here to help us be tankier. With Omikuji, this is just a fine build. I don't like it, but having like a good use for Sickening Pulse admittedly feels very good. So that's why I like this build. That's why I keep it here. Again, it also goes in line with not scaling with strength, really. Just a little bit of range, a little bit of duration. So I like that. That goes in line with Koumei's kit. So this is fine. Basically, that's it. Sorry for coughing. This is my second build and second favorite build. This is an Eclipse setup. That needs a little bit of work, quite frankly. But as you can see, it's got your Arcane Blessing, Arcane Avenger. This is essentially a weapons platform build. Use the damage reduction version of Eclipse. If you want, you can turn on the damage version of it, but I just generally wouldn't recommend it. You just keep the DR on, you know, let Omimori tank, prime redirection, adaptation, vitality. These Archon mods are going to be used because she can take advantage of all of them. Her 4 will apply. Toxin, I think perhaps her passive allows the Toxin to apply corrosive as well. I'm not sure about that one, actually. I should test it. Abilities to proc heat. You know how it's going. Intensify, and when more heals you, you have combat discipline. And stretch, of course, your 4 applies electricity as well. Rush is here for reasons I'll explain later. And then the government mandated Omikuji's fortune. I can't stand that augment. God. Anyway, okay, moving on. This is my build. My favorite build. And I went through hell trying to get it to function because I love power strength. And I can't help myself. So, we've got Archon Continuity here for why you think. Vitality here for why you think. The main difference here is Catalyzing Shields, Rolling Guard, and then Impetus plus Augmented, and Roar. So, the way that this setup works is you are meant to gamble and gamble and gamble until you get a particular set of, or sets of, I should say, decrees. Either the insanely strong weapons platform ones, the finisher power strength one, the armor power strength one. There is a million of them. We'll go over them. But basically, your goal is to just gamble and gamble and gamble. Roar allows you to amplify all of your damage from all of your decrees, which is insane. It's the only way to do it, as far as I'm concerned, which is why we take it. So this is like the ultimate gambling build. On its face, 185 power strength is not that good. I've tried to exchange Transient Fortitude for Blind Rage. It's just too uncomfortable. But you could probably make it work. I had to do a solo mission, which is why, again, the survivability here isn't even that necessary. But I had to solo a mission, so it had to be thrown together. The premise is juggling Catalyzing Shields, Shield Gate, with Rolling Guard, with Omimori. Basically use these three things together to stay alive. That is it. Impetus obviously is going to proc with your ultimate, and Augmented is going to proc with you massacring everything on the map. So pretty standard build here. But yeah, this is my personal favorite build. It's nothing insane, but it's got a goal in mind, which I think Koumei sometimes needs. Sometimes it feels like you're aimlessly gambling, which if you want to do that, you can. God bless your soul. But it's not my personal playstyle. So let's move on to my loadout. Okay, I'm going to discuss my loadout real quick here, Archon Shards and such. Before I get taken out back by the Warframe community and addressed, yeah, I've got the Latron Prime here and the Dual Toxist and Karnan, 2 of the strongest weapons in the game, and they will be showcased in the gameplay as well. Koumei needs them, quite frankly. Koumei is about completing the Omikuji minigames, which is about killing things quickly in large amounts. I got lucky there with just 12 wall latch kills, but I've gotten 61 enemies while airborne before. Not saying that's incredibly difficult, but I want to bring my best weapons for that reason. Also, the reason I run Rush in my X-list slot is actually for Evolution 2 Swift Punishment. As long as I have sprint speed 1.2 or higher, I get an additional gun CO, or gun condition overload, which gives me more damage per status on the target. This is kind of what Koumei is all about. And I guess if you want my other evolutions, you can have them right there. Dual Toxist is personal preference. If you want to be a real fraud, I'm a fraud, but if you want to be like if you want to be on real fraud watch, you got to run secondary fortifier. Oh my god, like you will never die. You can even you could take out the catalyzing shields and the what is it, rolling guard in my build and put in like power strength if you want to. Secondary fortifier is the most broken thing in this entire game, so you can do that. I won't be doing it because I would like a little bit of integrity, but it's a great survivability choice, don't get me wrong, no flame, but it's just it's not realistic to assume everyone has it, and the way it changes the game, 15,000 overguard, it makes a significant difference, I'm not gonna lie. And those are my evolutions in case you want them. Harmony is a excellent option on this Warframe. It basically it condenses all DOTs and statuses into one heavy swing. I also use this ceramic dagger incarnate in it with a heavy attack spam build. This is my sloppily put together influence build. Influence is not necessary here. I think afflictions is actually insanely good. Same with exposure. So those are two other options. Real sewn together with scraps build. And then here is my ceramic dagger build, which is a lot better. Crescendo. The reason you run this is for finishers, which are acquired by Vazarin. This is the Void Snare ability on Vazarin. A lot of Koumei's decrees do require some finishing from you, so that's why the ceramic dagger is quite good. But the Harmony can do it just the same, and melee kills are good because sometimes you're using her Augment, which I'll show off in a second here before we get started with gameplay. One thing I kind of want to try to get in your head is, listen, I understand that these weapons are really strong, and I understand that that does subtract from the Warframe, but that's what this build is about. It's about getting roar up, it's about getting absurd power strength numbers, buffing myself like crazy, and it's just that simple. If I'm gambling, okay, I've got my mom's credit card. There's two ATMs. One is spitting out $1 bills. One is spitting out $100 bills. I want to get rid of my college savings at the casino as fast as I can. I'm sorry, I'm not going to kill slower. It's not happening. I'm competing with teammates in order to be able to play my character. This character isn't about getting 1 or 2 kills to keep something up like evade. This is about getting like an insane amount of kills over and over and over, because you have to get a bunch of kills to finish the minigame, and then you have to get a bunch of kills to utilize Omikuji's fortune, because the cooldown gets really high, and that augment saves this character, but you still have to kill a bunch of stuff. So that's why I'm using those strong weapons. I understand that it kind of bastardizes the build, but Warframe is still a game about making a loadout that's competent and strong, and Koumei just needs that loadout more than a lot of frames who can throw a build together with scraps and quite frankly don't need a weapon in the first place. You know who you are. Quick breakdown of a couple of my modding choices because they're weird. You can see I've got heat on my Electron here. I've got a electric on my Harmony, and I've got the Worm Prime with Tazakor, which has a freeze ray, cold freeze ray. This is really relevant because Omikuji challenges involve the killing targets that have these basic elements on them. The only one I'm missing is Toxin, which is a shame. And the way that you normally do that is by casting Bunraku or having your passive, or in some cases when you're running the base build, use Kumihimo, because Kumihimo obviously applies those base elements. This is basically to speed up those mini games. So if I need to kill targets inflicted by heat, Latron, by electricity, Harmony, and obviously the Tazakor is going to be always applying cold, so they'll always be affected by that. It's a shivering contagion build, so it's definitely going to work really well. This is not necessary. I just want to min-max how much I get to gamble, so I need to get the mini games done fast. That's why that setup is the way it is. Is it optimal? I don't really know. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it's creative. That's why I do it. You can tell that this is the Archon shard work of a psychopath. I've got, again, if you're doing casting builds, by the way, 100% do double green armor strip shards, corrosive stack shards. 100% do casting speed as well. But this is weapons platform. God, forgive my speech. So I've got 2 energy maxes here. I've got an equilibrium, and then this one is really important. I think you should have this one. Just spawning in and having Omomori ready is like really nice. Being able to spawn a decree. And also being able to cast Bunraku, because remember, Arcane Impetus also gives you energy efficiency. So if you hit targets with the Bunraku, you get the strength, but you also get the efficiency to cast a good Omamori and Omikuji as well. So yeah, that's the whole setup. If you have any questions, I definitely think you should ask them, because this build's funky. If there's something that you think I could do better, I'd absolutely love to. I wish the dual toxis had built-in status chance. It just does the damage, as far as I know. I've thought about changing the mods up here a little bit to have it do toxin status, but the viral is just too good. But yeah, this is it. I'm gonna real quick do a little demonstration. I'm gonna cut and I'll show you the strength of this augment, even though I did it in the last video where I bitched and moaned for like 10 minutes straight. I need to show you this augment and how paramount it is. It's really lame, but it's very important. And then we'll get to actual gameplay and yapping and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for your time. Give me a quick second. Alright, so I need to show you guys Omikuji's Fortune. Essentially what it does, before you see what it does, I want to tell you exactly what it does. Effectively, it takes 4 seconds off of the cooldown of your minigame whenever you're going to kill with the weapon that your passive is under. Right now it'd be my primary. So I've got the enemy simulated here. I'm just going to roar. I've got 10 seconds left, so I'll pop someone in the dome. As you can see, it's back up. I'll click it. It goes on cooldown. Hey, I'm glad I got a decree. So now I'm just going to keep clicking. And you'll see 4 seconds drops every time. And it'll get a little bit dramatic. As you can see, I've cut the time. I've got a minute left. I'll spawn more enemies. I will hit them with my 4. And the ability is right back up. Understand that, and I played a lot of Koumei before this augment came up, which is why came out, which is why I'm so frustrated by it. But essentially, this is mandatory. Otherwise, you will be without an ability for essentially, at max, 2.5 minutes. That's insane. This should be base kit. It's frustrating, but that is just how it works. You're gonna have to run it basically, and it also forces you to pay more attention to which weapon you have up, and it also means you will have to have competent weapons all across the board, which is why Roar is handy and why Bunraku is handy, because you won't always have the strongest weapon in your hand. But you know, focus on the things you can control. Your companion, your Bunraku, your Roar. These are like the more consistent factors that we can use to buff all of our util. So I'm going to go over some quick decrees real quick, because I understand that in the gameplay, I'm not really going to be able to show you all that I want, because it's just going to be a 5-minute demonstration. And if anything, I'm just going to be demonstrating me trying to panic, keeping my survivability up. But I'm going to go over some of the combos that I think are really strong, why I use these weapons, like the dual toxicist, a high fire rate weapon, a weapon. This is also high fire rate, but it's just the raw damage that can be amplified by a lot of things. And then Harmony, why I use, but essentially I'm going to show you kind of why I choose the options that I choose. Alright, so we've got a nice list of decrees here on wiki.warframe. Do not use the fandom thing, please, if you have any respect for yourself. A lot of things are going to start to make a lot of sense. So, as you can see, some of these decrees are downright insanely good. Between the eyes, on headshots, just get more damage. Shattering Frost, we have a Tazakor with a freeze array, so that's, that's just bonus damage. Status effects dealing double damage. Critical damage being doubled. These decrees, this is why people believe Koumei is sleeper OP, and quite frankly, I kind of do. But again, the setup is frustrating. Gambling forever is frustrating. Some of these decrees are as good, if not better, than a Warframe ability. So having, again, potentially all of them. People get blinded by potential. It's just not realistic. These things have tiers. So they have levels internally. They have, your gambling. But yeah, so the setup you're going to want to go for generally is going to be something like Shattering Frost with Twofold Torment with Vicious Barb. Irresistible Bombardment is insanely good. I love this one with Lotron Prime. It gets so funny. There's another one I'm looking for. Bomb Seeds Malice is super good. Critical Frost, Loadout. I'm trying to find one that I like a lot. Blazing Bombardment. Here it is. This one is so good with the dual tox assist. You're getting homing fireballs every 5th shot. You see how quickly you can mag dump with the dual tox, and that's not even the best candidate for it, really. But yeah, pretty insane stuff. And then another one I'm looking for here. So we have these finisher one. This gives armor, 500 armor, triple armor boost, triples for Warframe, 1500 armor. Okay, that is pretty good for 10 seconds. I like that. Killing enemies, restoring health. This is good for that health tank setup. A lot of these are good for all sorts of different setups, but I find that the weapon platform ones are the most exciting. Punishers granting ability strength, fortified will. So these, the Warframe ability decrees are kind of the two. You'll notice that if you're going for the raw power strength gambling, the odds are not in your favor, statistically speaking, which is why if you wanted to run that Eclipse build, it's actually pretty solid. You're not going to get the statuses, of which there are plenty amplified here, but you will live with like 0 stress. You won't have to fight to stay alive because Eclipse gives you that DR. But yeah, as you can see, you have a lot of ways to gain armor, corrosive grit. You have the finisher one, but here finishers grant plus 200% flat ability strength. That's insane. So you do a finisher and you cast roar, and then if you get armor, you can give yourself capped at 500% ability strength. That's insane. So yeah, you can get insanely strong roars. Again, they're not going to be infinitely scaling, but that's one of your kind of quote-unquote win cons. Morale boost is super good. Bounce back, and like these are like energy economy decrees, so like that's perfect. That combined with impetus basically makes it impossible to like lose your energy econ. These are just all really good. As you can see, you have Brain of Vitality. This gives you more armor. Straight up DR per decree. Again, it's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. You'd have to get like 10 and then 20. You'd have to get a decent amount, but like this, you get really strong. But you gotta understand that this is all potential, and Koumei players, kind of like me, they tend to focus on the fact that, oh, if you get in a long duration survival, it's gonna go insane. It will if you go for a while. But that is, in terms of sheer content of what's available in a Warframe, that's a very small amount. Now, it's my favorite amount, and I think it's what they should lean into. I love endurance runs, but it's such a small portion. I'm not playing Koumei in any other game mode besides defense and survival. And defense, I will probably play something else. So basically just survival, because it's the only time I get to use the kit, straight up. I mean, that's just a fact. If I want to play caster, I'm going to play a different caster in a different mission. Survival's where it's at, but you're really only getting to play one game mode, which isn't great. And I guess while we're here, I'll show you the penalties here. These are pretty annoying. I'm not going to lie. The puncture one sucks. You deal less damage, I'm pretty sure. The toxin one definitely sucks. But again, when you have Omikuji's Fortune, I'll let you guys read these. I'll read them to you in a second. But when you have Omikuji's Fortune, you can afford, especially early on, to decline decrees. And quite frankly, don't be afraid to do it. It sucks, but once you're killing a ton of stuff, especially if you're solo, if there's a ton of enemies, it's not so bad. So yeah, some of these conditions here, as you can see, number of kills is determined by the total dice roll. If you roll better, you have to kill less stuff, which is really nice. Yeah, headshots while sliding, while wall latching within 10 meters, from 20 meters away, or greater, by the way. While you are airborne, while they're affected by a status effect. So again, that while they are affected by a status effect is why I have my loadout in the way that it does. Here is the escalating cooldown. First cast is 5, second cooldown, second 10, third 20, fourth 35, fifth 50, sixth 75, seventh 100, and the 8th and all subsequent subsequent casts have a 150 second cooldown. That's insane. Again, I get the ability strong, but that's pretty crazy. And then the scaling, 15% chance per level of the ability for a rare tier decree. So that I don't focus on too much. Generally, I just keep gambling. So yeah, that's all the important stuff with the decrees. You should read these. Some of these are unique to understand how to utilize. The one that I've kind of tried to learn is Stormcaller and Fault Finder. These are actually like way better than you'd think they are. Some of these you don't have to think about at all. I mean, at all. But like, you want to get at like this pounce one, this Kexat's pounce, or however you say that. Like, this is a good decree. This is quite good. It's just you have to know to use it. The finisher stuff, you have to know to use it. And I think Koumei requires a lot more practice than some frames do, because you have to understand how to properly utilize a lot of the decrees that you end up with. Otherwise, they're just dead to you. And there are some decrees that will just be dead to you, but you have to know how to utilize them. That's very, very, very relevant. Some are like AFK easy. Some you should really put some extra thought into. So we're gonna get to the gameplay. If you have any questions about these, let me know. But this is kind of why we take Roar for the power strength, and also because a lot of these are elemental based, and that means that Eclipse can't help us very much, because Eclipse just helps with our weapon. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's also why there's a lot of viable builds here. I just think the Roar one is the strongest. So let's get to the gameplay. Let's get to even more yapping, oh boy, and we'll get to the end. And thank you guys so much for sticking around for watching even this long. I really appreciate that a ton. Oh yeah, here's the build I'm using in the demonstration. This is the Eclipse build from earlier. I realized I like totally forgot to change it for the video because I don't use it that often. It's kind of a solo build, but yeah, here we go. The changes are mainly just getting rid of Blind Rage for Streamline. That's really it as far as I'm concerned. Oh, and Steal Fire from Redirection. That's pretty important. I'm super sorry. Okay, gameplay time. Alright, we are heading into Circulus, Low Conjunction Survival. Gotta kill this bum real quick before he can summon any of his annoying ass dogs. And let's get to it. So, start out the mission with Omikuji, and we'll Omikuji. 13 times headshots, that's refreshing. Usually I don't get an easy one right away. Pop some skulls real quick. So I wanted to like comment a little bit on oh, shield's already gone. On kind of the problem with Koumei, and I think a lot of people don't like her, and that's fine. Ooh, got a verdigris. Anyway, because quite frankly, I think she's one of the worst Warframes. But the reason I say that is because they have just really stepped up their game in Warframes. Some of the worst Warframes have been reworked into something that is completely unrecognizable. Straight up. I mean, God, Hydroid, look at him, man. Frost, look at, like, these Warframes that you would once consider dated just have so many tools. I think Frost is one of the best Warframes in the game now. It's kind of absurd, quite frankly. I'm getting jumped. That's kind of a shame. But, anywho, as I was saying, let me just focus up a bit. As I was saying, Warframe, in my opinion, is a game about measuring 50 times and cutting like a third of the distance. And what I mean by that is I think Warframe is about knowing how to put a build together, not how to pull the trigger, right? Like that's, to me, that is kind of how you play Warframe. And with Koumei, you have an entire ability, essentially, where you don't get to measure. There is no measuring outside of equipping that augment. Okay, this is one of my favorites. Stable Stance is really good. It basically gives you primed sure-footed as long as there's 4 enemies around you. Like normally these Electron Blasts would put me on my ass, but because I have Stable Stance, that is not the case. Anyway, I'll try to comment on the augment or on the decrees as I get them because I think they're really good. But basically, you can't mod for a lot of Koumei's kit, and you can't really mod at all, again, besides the augment, for Koumei's 2, and that's pretty lame. Thank God we got the cold here, that way we can easily get a new decree. But that's categorically pretty lame. Not being able to mod for something sucks. And on top of that, she doesn't scale with anything in general, so you don't get to you just don't get to mod, really. Like, it doesn't feel like you have much control. And for a gambling frame, that's fine. Some less RNG related problems people have is that her 1 and her 4 are really anti-synergistic, which I find to be incredibly strange. Her 1 is a tripwire that you would think encourages enemies to move into the area, but her 4 roots them in place, which is really, really strange and doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh my god, I just realized I got... Alright, well this... You know, normally I just throw the recording away at this point, but you know, I've suffered enough through this video. So if you haven't noticed, we got the 666 Omikuji roll, which makes us invulnerable for the duration of our charms. I'm going to be taking that on the chin and using it because I tried using my roar build a lot for demonstration. I got my weapon taken away too. What a dickhead. And I got so stressed that I straight up just couldn't record. Like, I was dying, and I tried to put a sort of... This is the optimal combo, by the way. You want a Void Snare and then Bunraku, because once they're ragdolled, you actually can't Void Snare them together, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, ooh, that's big. Rising Agony is good. 2 rare decrees. I got the immortality roll. Like, what's going on? Anywho, yeah, I'm taking this. So basically, I got super stressed out. That's why I'm using the Eclipse build today in my demonstration. So this is exciting. This is exciting. Let me just kill this bum. Violence is gonna take away. You know what? My bad for being greedy. Violence. What happened again? So with our demonstration being over and the yap session, basically, I think you should give Koumei a try. I understand why you wouldn't want to. I do. Like 64 weapons while 64 weapons hello. 64 enemies while airborne. If you're alone, really isn't that bad. But imagine you've got a Saren in your lobby. Like, you're sitting here having to like airbud through the fucking sky to like play the game. While Saren's one is like just automated killing the entire map. So yeah, Koumei does, like, Koumei's main sins, as far as I'm concerned, are forcing you to play the nuke playstyle on a Warframe that, I mean, being straight up, just doesn't nuke. And if she does nuke, she doesn't do it particularly well. So if you're gonna promote the nuke playstyle, at least be a nuker, right? Like, ideally. Why don't I just do that? And then also RNG. You know, I'm cool with RNG. I like gambling in this game. But at the end of the day, Warframe players like to be able to manipulate and control what they've got when they go in. I've gotten 3 rare decrees. The Man, I am getting some serious luck. Alright, it's time to get my ass out of here. Anyway, I'll do the conclusory bit and try to, you know, bullet point what I'm trying to say here, but hopefully you've gotten a grasp of the gameplay loop. Basically, you just need to constantly be killing things. First, to complete the minigame, and second, to get the minigame back off of cooldown. So, yeah, that'll be basically it. I will get into my little ending bit here, but thank you for watching, and give me a quick second. Alright, to finish up here, should you play Koumei? The answer is probably yeah. If you're new, the answer is definitely yeah. I think her strength early on is very relevant. Her aesthetic is amazing. Love it to death. Early game, she's going to do a lot. She's going to get you pretty far. I believe she's actually part of something DE is experimenting with, which I hope they continue to do. Which is, I think her crafting time for the Warframe is actually 1 day, as opposed to the 3 days that a Warframe usually takes. So, and her farm isn't particularly difficult, and you get 2 really strong early game weapons with her. If you're a late game player, I'm gonna say, and your goal is objective strength, you can skip out. She's mastery fodder. But this frame is good. This is not like, is she the worst frame of the game? I'm gonna say probably not. I don't know that like, because all frames are good. We're in a golden era, baby. I can't think of a frame I couldn't build and make good. I don't, like, any frame can do any content anytime, and that's just the truth. Some do it better than others, but that's how this game's always been. But everything feels viable. There's just bad weapons, but that's whatever. That's a long conversation. what I'm trying to say is, if you want to make Koumei work, you absolutely can. Just understand that she's not a Swiss Army knife. She is like a very, very, very sharp like needle. That's it. She's good at one thing, and it's so fun when you get to do it with her. But that's really it. Endless survival and defense if you really want to. I've only played her in long survival, so I can't say much about her defense. Her CC I'm sure is great. You know, if you want to play defense with her, I think you should. I'm sure it's fine. But you have to get all the kills. And she doesn't have the kit to do that, so it's a little bit frustrating. So, yeah, she's a pretty low investment to make. If you're early game, you should grab her. I understand the discourse around her. It makes sense. But I think it's okay to have a frame that's a little weird. I think that's great, actually. Like, a frame that's all around gambling and dice rolls and some RNG. In a game with 60 Warframes, that's totally acceptable. She can be bad. I don't care. I'm going to play her anyway. I think it's fun. So yeah, that's the whole guide. This one was way too long, but I do not care. I'm going to learn to condense information at some point, but I'm pretty passionate about this frame. Not all my guides are going to be this long, I promise. Making a guide for a frame about RNG is admittedly difficult, but I was up for the challenge. So hope you guys enjoy your day or night. Like and subscribe or whatever you want to do. Bless your heart if you made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much. That means the entire world to me. And take care. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.